read the information, make sure we understand it. Data collected on the time it takes in seconds of 86 randomly selected passages of play in a game of rugby were collected. So in this table, you have time of rugby plays, and there are 86 such times. Those times in seconds are shown below. Just said that. A lot of data, right? So the first thing you have to do is compute the mean and standard deviation of the set of sample data. Round answer to 2 decimal places for the first answer box and put correct units in the other answer box. So the first thing we'll do, we will just copy this data in StatCrunch. And let's make sure we copy this data and we find the mean and the standard deviation. A way to copy the data will be to do Control-C on your keyboard. I open the StatCrunch right here, and I will do Control-V. And here is my data. I scroll down to make sure I have 86 values, and yes, I do. Okay, and now I need to find some measures. So I will highlight the stat, and right here you have summary statistics. Okay, and summary statistics of columns, and here is the column. I have to click on with the column where I have my data, which is variable 1, and I'm not changing anything here, but I'll just be looking for the mean because the problem says find the mean and the standard deviation. In order to make sure I get the standard deviation also, I will hit Control and standard deviation. Okay, so you need to select standard deviation by hitting Control first. Okay, and then I will just say compute, and here is the information I need. The mean is this number. I'll just copy and paste. Control C, copy it, go back here, and I'll do Control V. Okay, and now they say to round it to 2 decimal places, so I will simply round to 2 decimal places. This number is 22.07, and right here we have to put a units measure. So let's see, that was the mean of the times, and if I scroll back up, the times were given in seconds, so the mean will be actually in seconds. So just type that in there, and the standard deviation is measured in the same units. So let's just copy, Control C, Control V, and the standard deviation for this one, I'll go back here and I will copy and paste the second number here, which is the standard deviation, Control C, and go back here and Control V, and make sure I will round it to 2 decimal places. This time it will be a 7 here because it was a 6 next to it. Now, the second part for this problem, this is where some students had difficulties. That's the reason I'm doing this one. It says use Chebyshev theorem to find an interval centered about the mean times of rugby plays in which you expect to have at least 75% of the data fall. You'll have to remember the Chebyshev theorem, okay? If you do not remember the Chebyshev theorem, make sure you review it. So I have the Chebyshev theorem right here. And let's see what this one says. This one says that the portion of any data lying within k standard deviation of the mean is at least this. This is given in general terms, and that's what makes it very challenging. However, they tell you if k is 2, meaning you are looking 2 standard deviations within the mean, below and above the mean, you expect to have at least, and they figure it out by plugging in k equals 2 in here. So they actually have 75% of the data lie within 2 standard deviations from the mean. So now as you read this and then you look at your problem, you realize that they are looking for an interval containing 75, at least 75% of the data, which means you will associate this number with k equals 2. K equals 2 means that interval will be within 2 standard deviations of the mean. So in order to figure this number out, you'll have to simply take the mean and find the value which is located 2 standard deviations below the mean, and find the value which is located 2 standard deviations above the mean. And if you do that, you will find the correct interval, and it will be the correct answer. It says do not use your rounded answer from above to compute these endpoints, which means you have to use the numbers with as many decimals as we computed before, and only round the final answer to 2 decimal places. Okay, so let's do that. I will take the numbers from before, and I will be looking at the mean minus 2 standard deviations. That will be the lower limit, and the mean plus 2 standard deviations, because I'm looking for 75%, and the 75% corresponds to 2 standard deviations above and below the mean. Okay, I will try to write it here. So it will be the mean. So right here, what we will need to do will be the mean. And pardon my writing, it's very challenging to write it in here. Minus 2 standard deviations, 2 sigma. That will be the lower. And the upper limit will be the mean plus 2 standard deviations. That's all you need to do. That will be the interval. And to find this interval, all you need to do is plug in the numbers. You already have the mean. The mean is right here. Okay. And you already have the standard deviations. The standard deviation, which is right there. However, they said do not use the rounded, oops, I'm sorry, the rounded numbers from above. So we will need to use more decimals. I'll clear my drawings now. And I will go to StatCrunch. Pick those numbers. So here is a number. And let's do the calculations right here on a StatCrunch, or you know what, I will do it on a calculator. I'll just take the calculator right here. And I will simply add 22.074419 plus 2 times 15.16658, and this is the upper limit. So this is the mean plus twice the standard deviation. Hopefully I made no mistakes. And the lower limit will be 22.074419 minus 2 times 15.665. Okay, I made a mistake here. It's supposed to be 1665 to 8. And this should be my lower limit. So I got a negative number right here, and I got a positive number. So what I will do, I'll go back to MyOpenMath. I want to double check my numbers. Okay, looks like that's correct. I don't want to make mistakes, so let's see. Here is what I have. The lower limit is because I need to see the answers. I need to make some adjustments right here. Lower limit is this one, negative 8 point, and they say round the final answer to 2 decimals, so it will be 8.26. It's a negative, right? And the upper limit, it will be 52.41. And the units measures will be seconds. Okay, now moving on to the next problem. It's the same type of problem. They tell us to use Chebyshev theorem to find the interval centered about the mean times of rugby plays in which you would expect at least 88.9% of the data to fall. So right here you have the 88.9% of the data. And if you look at Chebyshev theorem, here it is, 88.9% of the data will be the percentage that is associated with k equals 3. And k equals 3 means 3 standard deviations of the mean. Meaning you'll do the exact same thing that you've done before. You will subtract and add 3 standard deviations this time to the mean to come up with the upper and lower limits of that interval. Okay, this is what we will do right now. And I need to clear my drawings. So for this problem, I will take the same numbers that I have right here. I already have those mean and the mean and standard deviation. And I will come up with the upper limit and the lower limit, 22.07 or 419. And I just start with the upper limit first, plus 3 times 15.166528. That will be the upper limit. And that is 67.574003. So that's the upper limit. I can put it right here. 67 point, and round it to 2 decimal places, it will be 57. Okay. And for the other limit, I'll simply do 22.074419 minus 3 times 15.166528. This will give me the lower limit, and the lower limit is negative, so it will be negative 23 point, and make sure you round to 2 decimal places, and that will be 43. You have to be very careful with rounding because otherwise you will not get credit and will have to do it again, and it is frustrating. So just pay attention. So the unit measure will be seconds, and we are done. Let's see. Let's submit the questions. And it seems that there is a mistake somewhere. Let's see which one it is a mistake. Negative 8.25 It's supposed to be rounded. See, I just told you be careful with rounding. That's okay, we learn from it. So here it is. This is the score. We got this right. And this is how it is done. Okay, hopefully this helps. If you have questions, please let me know.